Hi guys, Jackie Mitchell from Jackie Mitchell Career Consulting. I'm bringing to you today 5 tips on having a successful work from home collaboration with your team, right? In light of everything that's happening today, wanted to make sure that you guys are set up for success if this is your first time working from home. And how do you work from home when you're managing a team or part of a team, but really managing a team and having that team collaboration? How can you be successful if this is your first time doing it, or even if you're doing it not for the first time, but really want to get a handle on managing your team and being successful and keeping up with the productivity, right? And keeping productive. So I have 5 tips for you today on how to do that. So the first tip I am taking from my background, my career. I am a project manager, as most of you know. If you don't know, I'm a project manager, senior program manager. Here's a little tip that can help in any environment. I do this with my team, and I do this, and I've taken this from what is considered an agile methodology. You don't need to know what that is. We can take some of the things from that and apply it here. So the tip number 1 that I have for you, have daily stand-up meetings. And what that is, really people aren't standing up because this is work from home and virtual. So what that is at the beginning of every day, you want to have a 15-minute check-in. And really that's what it is, a 15-minute check-in with your team members. Everyone gets in that conference, that, the video conference, whether you have video on or not, doesn't matter. But for 15 minutes, your team, we time box that strictly for 15 minutes. It's not a status meeting. It's not a meeting to talk about, pains and what's bothering you and all of that stuff, work stuff. This is strictly to talk about the work that you're doing, right? So everyone gets on the call, everyone gets on the video call, 15 minutes tops, and you're talking about 3 things. So it's called a daily stand-up. You can call it your daily check-in, but what you want to do is have a 15-minute check-in at the beginning of every day. So you want to do it by 10 a.m. Anytime after that, it kind of gets a little hairy. So you want to take 15 minutes out of the morning. Everyone gets on that call and they're talking about 3 things, and 3 things only. What they did yesterday, what they're doing today, what they're doing tomorrow, and if they need any help from you. That's it. That's it. So I'm going to go through each one. What did they do? What did they do yesterday? They need to talk about, at a very high level, what they worked on. It could be one thing, doesn't matter. What did you work on yesterday? What are you going to work on today? And what are you planning on working on tomorrow? And if you have, in Agile, we call it roadblocks or impediments, do you have anything stopping you from doing your work? 4 questions that you're answering, or that they're answering, and you as well. What did you do yesterday? What are you doing today? What do you plan to do tomorrow? And is there anything blocking you from getting your work done? That's it. We're going to get back to that. Number 2. For the managers, please do not all of a sudden become a micromanager. Just because your team is working from home does not give you the right to now become a micromanager. You have to trust the people that you're working with. If you trusted them in the office, you need to now let go and trust them at home, right? And how do you do that? You trust your employees, but you verify productivity. The daily stand-ups would tell you who's doing what and if they're actually getting it done. And if there are deliverables or things that they need to prepare for you, or prepare for someone else, or deliver to someone else, you will have a track of that. But being a micromanager, all of a sudden, now that everyone is working from home, or most of the team is working remotely, it does not give you the right to now be a micromanager. That's something that you have to work on internally for yourself. But being a micromanager will not set anybody up for success, not for you, not for your team. It will break down communication. It will break down relationships. If you were not a micromanager in the office, this is not the time to be a micromanager. You're going to do 2 things. You're going to trust your employees, your team members, and you're going to verify productivity. Verifying productivity does not mean micromanaging. Let's go back to step one. You're doing your daily stand-up, your daily check-in, finding out what they are working on, what, any issues that they're having, and helping to resolve that. That's all you're doing. Let people do their work. Give people the breathing room to do their work. Number 3, if you have to be heads down all day, all week, doesn't matter when it is, you still need to find time to have office hours. You want to block out time for your team to be able to come to you. So if you have to be heads down all day, find 15 minutes, find a half an hour, something. You have to give your team access to you. And I'm not talking about doing IM all day because you lose productivity with that. I'm not talking about with emails. I'm talking about specific office hours or things that can wait for office hours, right? So let's set a standard and expectations that I have office hours between 2 and 3 or 3 and 5. Whatever that is, whatever works for you, set office hours. And it may not be every day. It could be twice a week. Whatever works for you and your team, do that. But you want to give them the opportunity to have the collaboration, the conversation with you, whether it's picking up the phone and having a phone call or video chat, something where they're still connected, they feel connected, that they feel that they can still come to you and that they do still have access to you and you to them, right? So you want to do office hours. Number 4, this is really interesting. Setting yourself up for success and your team members for success. This one is staying ready, right? And so every day working remotely should be as far as wardrobe. So this one is about wardrobe, should be a casual Friday for you. What does that mean? It means that you're not rolling out of bed, looking disheveled, and just taking it too casual. You don't want to do that. What happens if your boss's boss needs everyone on a call and they are saying, okay, everyone on a video call? Now you got to rush and get ready, right? So be ready, stay ready, right? You want to look how you would look on a casual Friday. And it kind of depends on your organization and the audience, but you kind of still want to be presentable. Not saying that you have to have a full face of makeup, a ball gown on or anything like that, or a suit on, but at least from the waist up, you want to be presentable and you want to still represent your brand. You still want to represent your brand and have that professional look to you, even if you're casual. So like I'm in a black shirt, right? This can be a casual Friday. It's simple, right? And not with a whole lot of adornments or anything like that, but keeping it simple, keeping it classy, keeping it professional, casual as well, because you are at home and you want to be comfortable, but at least from the waist up, please wear shorts or something, pants or leggings or something under it, because if you got to get up and you forget that your video is on, you may have an embarrassing moment. So for number 4, I call it be casual Friday ready. Just stay ready, right? Because you never know. And number 5, in having successful work from home collaboration with your team, and having them have a good relationship with you, you want to be respectful of business hours. I cannot stress enough how important that is. Because your team is not driving to and from the office does not mean that you can now take liberty in scheduling meetings at 7 a.m. if you typically didn't have that, or scheduling meetings at 7 p.m. if you typically didn't have that. Folks have families, they have lives outside of work. We want to respect that time frame. So just because they're not in the office between 9 and 5 does not mean that you can now set a work schedule 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. or 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. and doing all of these things with, well, let's have a late meeting. If you typically didn't do it before, don't do it now. And if you did it before, you want to be mindful that for those, it doesn't even matter if you have a family or not. You're home, right? And so that is your time. And so if you typically had late meetings because you were already in the office, now that you're home, you want to verify, is it still okay? And especially for folks who have families, who have children, they got to eat, they got to do homework, they got to do things like that, not trying to have gender specific roles, but just saying people have things to do outside of work. So you want to be respectful of that time frame of working hours. And I'm going to toss this in because I had someone say, I was having a conversation with someone about this, and it struck me, and I'm wondering if other people think this too. So I'm going to toss this in as, I don't know if it's a tip, but just something to think about. Just because we have all of this technology that keeps us connected, and a lot of people are working from home now, or should be working from home, or working remotely, wherever that is, does not mean that they have to be glued to the computer screen. Some people may have a job or a position where they can get, honestly, their work done maybe in 6 hours for the day, or they're doing things sporadically during the day. It doesn't matter. So if you don't see that green button on whatever IM application that you're using or tool that you're using, does not mean that they're not working. Kind of goes back to, what was it? Step 2, not becoming a micromanager, watching to see who's online and who's not online. As long as you're getting the productivity, it should not matter. Doesn't matter. As long as you're getting the productivity, if that green light is not on for 5 hours, it doesn't matter. They could have their computer closed and sitting, in the living room in front of the TV, but still working on something else, writing it out, whatever, drawing it out, doesn't matter. Just because you don't see someone's green light on does not mean that they're not being productive, doesn't mean that they're working. They're not working. I have worked remotely for many years, and I have perfected cooking dinner and working, cooking early and working, and doing things on my lunch hour and working, or multitasking, throwing stuff in the laundry and still working. It doesn't matter. I can get things done. Some people, and I see this, some people will stack everything in the morning, get everything done in the morning, and they have their afternoon, but they're still productive. They have provided you with everything that is needed, what they are supposed to turn in or whatever. They've completed it, and they're on to the next thing. So it kind of goes back to not being that micromanager. So I just wanted to throw that in there. So really quickly, top five key things, the tips for success with you and your team. 1, have daily stand-ups. 2, don't all of a sudden become a micromanager. 3, if you need to be heads down, have office hours. Please carve out time for office hours for your team to feel connected with you. 4, be casual Friday ready. And 5, respect business hours. So guys, I wish all of you success. I wish all of you much success. We can get through this. Working from home is a transition for some people, but my goal is to help you and give you tips for success for your teams, for you and for your teams, in turn for your teams and your organization. So I hope this was helpful for you. Thank you, guys.